The cemetery fell into a stunned silence the moment the janitor stepped forward, mud still clinging to his boots, hands trembling not from fear but from certainty, as the billionaire's coffin lay open under a gray sky that felt too heavy for goodbye. Everyone had come to bury a woman the world believed was gone forever, but one ordinary man saw something no one else did, and in that single breath of hesitation, fate cracked open. This is the story of how a forgotten janitor stopped a billionaire's funeral because he knew, with a terrifying calm, that she was not dead. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of ordinary people, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Soul Tale. Your support keeps stories like this alive. The janitor had worked in the billionaire's glass tower for nearly 15 years, cleaning floors long after the lights went out, watching a world of wealth from the shadows. His name rarely mattered to anyone, and his presence was so constant that it became invisible. He knew the building sounds better than its owners, the rhythm of elevators, the hum of servers, the subtle changes when something was wrong. On the night the billionaire collapsed, the janitor was there, mopping a corridor outside the executive floor. He saw the rush, the panic, the security men running with stiff faces, and later the silence that followed like a held breath. News spread fast that the billionaire's wife had been found unresponsive at home and declared dead within hours, a sudden tragedy that shocked the city. To everyone else, it was another headline. To the janitor, it was an ache he could not explain. He had seen her once weeks earlier, sitting alone in the lobby late at night, pale and exhausted, pressing her fingers against her wrist as if counting something only she could feel. The janitor noticed small things because his life depended on noticing what others ignored. He remembered the way her chest rose unevenly, the way her eyes fluttered like someone fighting sleep rather than surrendering to it. When the funeral was announced so quickly, something felt wrong, like a story forced to end before its time. Still, who would listen to a janitor questioning doctors, wealth, and authority? The day of the funeral arrived wrapped in black suits and quiet sobs. Powerful people stood in perfect rows, grief measured and controlled, while cameras waited at a distance. The coffin was polished, expensive, and final. The janitor had not been invited, but he came anyway, standing at the edge of the crowd, his heart pounding louder than the prayers. As the lid was opened for a final viewing, the janitor's breath caught. The woman's face was pale, yes, but not empty. Her skin held a softness he recognized from years of cleaning hospital corridors during night shifts in his younger days. He noticed the faint color at her lips, the unnatural stillness that felt forced rather than complete. Most of all, he noticed the barely perceptible movement at her throat, a whisper of life hiding beneath ceremony. Fear warred with duty inside him. He knew what would happen if he was wrong. He would be dragged away, humiliated, possibly arrested. But he also knew what would happen if he stayed silent. A living person would be buried because everyone trusted systems more than instincts. As the officiant raised a hand to begin the final rites, the janitor stepped forward. The world seemed to tilt. Gasps rippled through the crowd as he reached the coffin and placed his rough fingers near the woman's neck, not as a man seeking attention, but as someone pleading with truth itself. He felt it then, faint but undeniable, a pulse like a trapped bird. Chaos followed, but not the kind that destroys. Medics were called back in disbelief. Machines were rushed forward, and certainty shattered into confusion. The billionaire, a man who controlled markets with a phone call, stood frozen as professionals confirmed what the janitor had known in his bones. She was alive, locked in a rare condition that mimicked death so convincingly it fooled even experienced eyes. Time, which had almost run out, was dragged back from the edge by one brave interruption. The days that followed transformed everything. The woman was rushed into intensive care, where warmth, oxygen, and patience slowly pulled her back. The doctors spoke of miracles and margins, of how close the world had come to an irreversible mistake. The janitor returned to his quiet routines, unsure if he would be thanked or forgotten, but carrying a strange peace. He had done what felt right, and that was enough. Weeks later, when the woman finally opened her eyes, the first thing she asked for was the man who saved her without knowing her name. When they met, the room felt small for the weight of what had happened. The billionaire, stripped of titles in that moment, looked at the janitor not as staff but as a human being who had given his family back. Gratitude turned into action. The janitor's life changed, not through sudden riches alone, but through recognition. He was offered opportunities he never imagined: education for his children, security for his future, and a seat at tables where his voice mattered. Yet what moved him most was simpler. People began to see him. The story spread, not because of money or fame, but because it reminded people of something they had forgotten: that wisdom does not always wear suits, and courage often comes in worn gloves. The woman recovered fully, carrying a deeper kindness shaped by her brush with the end. She used her influence to reform medical protocols, to slow down decisions made too fast, to listen for the quiet signs of life that data can miss. The billionaire changed too, learning that power without humility is blind. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment near the end of this video to like, share, and subscribe to Soul Tale, because stories like this survive only when compassion is passed forward. Before the final moments fade, we have a special request for you. Please comment below and tell us whether you believe one ordinary person can truly change destiny, because your words help this community grow. In the end, the cemetery returned to silence, but it was no longer a place of loss. It became a reminder that life can whisper when the world is shouting, and that sometimes the person who saves us is the one we never thought to notice. The janitor went back to cleaning floors, but every step he took carried the weight of a truth proven beyond doubt. She was not dead, and neither was hope.